Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast, bringing unique insight and analysis behind your favorite teams at the collegiate and professional levels. I'm your host, Chase Jontz. We're here in my basement. It's a studio now for the moment. We got a couple people in here. Brady King to my left. What's going on, Brady?
Not too much, Chase. It's been a while since we've done a college basketball episode, so it's going to be really interesting to get going here. And yeah, it's about it.
100%. And we do have a special guest with us today. Hasn't been on the podcast in a couple of years, but, we had to get him back on. So we're talking college basketball. Michael Severt. What's up, Michael?
What's up, man? Yeah, it has been 3 years?
It's been a minute. I mean, that was back in the days when we were recording stuff on Anchor, and it was, we were literally phone calls.
Was that,
it's pretty much
was that our senior year?
That was our senior year of high school. Yes. That was a long time ago. We've come a long way since then. Our voices have, kind of matured over that time. They've changed over that time frame for sure. And just actually seeing us on video now is a cool thing. But yeah, glad to have you here, Michael.
Yeah, good to be here. I'm ready to talk some college basketball.
Most definitely. Before we get into this college basketball talk, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube. We will drop this audio, so if you guys cannot watch it on YouTube, you guys can just listen to us talk about ball. I mean, just three of us that got a lot of chemistry and all that stuff, and we're just gonna be talking about March Madness and other stuff coming on right now. Man, it is March again. Isn't it crazy?
It is March.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have been looking forward to this for a while.
100%. And you look at Brady right here with the Carolina Tar Heel gear on, taking on Duke tomorrow. Carolina beat Duke in their first game. It was a pretty high scoring matchup. What are your thoughts going into Cameron Indoor tomorrow for North Carolina?
Yeah. So that game, it was a fairly good game. I mean, UNC controlled that one pretty good, but since then we've kind of not been playing as well as we were before that game and during that game. And I would say for the most part, Duke has improved. So now it's going to be intriguing to see what's going to happen. I believe they're 4.5-point favorites. And it's never easy to win on the road in that rivalry. So definitely going to be tough to win that game. And I do believe we're going to see two more matchups in the next 2 weeks between the two teams.
100%. And the emergence of RJ Davis, though. Thoughts on him before I give it back to Michael?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable to watch him this season. I feel like a lot of UNC fans and in general knew that this could happen, similar to this, maybe not to this level, could happen. Caleb Love left. No shot on Caleb Love, but he took a lot of shots. So RJ Davis wasn't getting he still was a really good player, but he wasn't getting the same looks. But now that he has the keys, he's just quite clearly the best guard in college basketball, and it's been great to watch. He's just one of the best point guards I've ever, or point guard, shooting guard, whatever you want to call him, that I've seen come through UNC. It's good to see him reach this potential.
Most definitely. And, I'll pass it over to Michael here, talking about the other side of the coin in Duke. Just want to hear 2 cents on this, though. I mean, you're looking at Duke's lineup. There are 5 guys that average double figures in this lineup, led by Kyle Filipowski. What are your thoughts on this Duke team?
Yeah, no, they're just as talented as anyone in the country. They have a ton of NBA talent on that team, and they're a little older than some Duke teams, which the last time there was an older Duke team, they made the Final Four, which they ended up losing North Carolina in that. Mm-hmm. So they're definitely a team I think can make a Final Four run, along with North Carolina. And then I think that I agree with Brady. I think they're going to meet again in the ACC championship, and I think they're going to split the next 2 games.
All right.
I think North Carolina is going to take the series, but I think it's going to be it's really hard to sweep and with that rivalry.
It is.
So I whoever wins the next game, if Carolina wins the next game, I don't think they're going to win the ACC championship.
Yeah, I mean, winning 3 times in a season is ultimately tough and everything. And, very excited for tomorrow's matchup and potentially a matchup maybe next Saturday. So
there's a few really good matchups tomorrow.
There definitely are. We're going to get into a couple of them, in just a second. And we'll actually pivot off of that. We'll go down to the 4:00 slot on ESPN right before Duke and North Carolina play. You got Kansas and Houston. The last time Houston played Kansas was able to take advantage of Houston. I believe that game was about a month ago or so, a little over a month ago. And I think was it the same week as North Carolina Duke? I think it was.
It might have been.
I think it was. I can't remember in that regard, but Kansas was able to dominate that game. But now they go to Houston, and Houston's the number 1 team in the country. Houston's been playing really good basketball, and if there's one guy on that team that I just love to rave about, Jamal
Shed. Yeah.
Jamal Shed, man. What do you like much about Jamal Shed's game?
I would say that he might be the best guard defender in the country, probably, and he just wins. He just makes winning plays. He's a huge part of Houston's success this year. I mean, LJ Cryer's their leading scorer, right?
Yeah,
but yeah. I think Jamal Shed's more vital to their success, despite not putting as many points on the board.
Yeah. It's just big with him. I mean, and the thing is also just making big time plays, winning plays, game winning shots. I.e., Oklahoma not too long ago, it was like last week. That
was a crazy shot.
It was though. I mean, that was an intense game in the Big 12, and this is going to be a great game tomorrow. And Brady. I mean, we're looking at Kansas, all right.
Yeah,
led by Kevin McCullough Jr. He's been out here and there a little bit, but Hunter Dickinson in general. All right.
Yeah.
11 rebounds a game. He's getting around 3 offensive boards a game overall. Just have you gotten a chance to watch Kansas a little bit here and there? And if so, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I have. I feel like when they're playing their best, they're probably a top 4 team in the country. But for some reason, they just cannot stay consistent in terms of like winning road games. They're great at home. They always have been.
Yep.
There's no place there's not a home court in the country that has a better win percentage than Allen Fieldhouse, I don't think, in the past 10 or so years. I mean, you could fact check me, but I'm almost positive I'm right on that.
It's a tough spot to play.
And
yeah,
and because of like the way the gym's designed and all the fans, obviously great fan base, that's tough to play there. But when they go on the road, they've had their inconsistencies. And obviously it was a big pickup to get Hunter Dickinson this offseason from Michigan. Obviously him and Kevin McCullough are a very good 1-2 punch. Hunter Dickinson, it's interesting to see him in a different uniform. It is. I've seen him for 3 years wearing Michigan colors, and now playing for a team like Kansas. Obviously a good move for him. But it's just crazy. Like, he reminds me the way he plays. Now, I used to play pickup with this guy named Jason Pennypacker. He kind of plays like him.
All right, a random throw in.
That was really random.
We'll toss it over to another 4:00 game though. In the Midwest, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Wait, can I throw one thing in about Kansas?
Go on ahead.
I think their Achilles heel is their depth.
They are.
Once you get out of their starting lineup, it's not much.
They're pretty skinny.
And I think when you factor that in with the fact that DeJuan Harris cannot really score, that makes it difficult. DeJuan Harris is a really good college point guard. Yeah, really good player.
He sucked, not playing.
But he's just never been a scorer. That's never been his thing.
Another guy that stepped up in Johnny Furphy, man. That was unexpected. Unexpected this season.
He's going to be a first rounder.
Yeah. He's got the bill. You can shoot from the outside. I mean, there's a lot of potential with them, and excited to see what happens with them. But yeah, I mean, DeJuan Harris he's kind of that he's a pass first point guard. Obviously, that's more what the traditional point guard is. But there's going to be times where you got to go get a bucket, and it's and he hasn't really done that over the course of some games that they needed him to. But it'll be interesting to see going on with them. But I'll go to Kentucky, Tennessee. That's a 4:00 game on CBS Saturday.
Is that
at Tennessee? Up in Knoxville. Yep. So I know you've been raving about this guy, Dalton Knecht. Just rave about him more.
Yeah, Dalton Knecht is.
I mean, it's March. I got to get the names back down.
No, you're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to correct you.
That's all good. All good.
If anyone has a case for Player of the Year over Zach Edey, it's him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, 20.
It's hard to argue with 23 and 12 or whatever Edey's putting up, but I don't know. If you were to ask me who do I think is better and gonna be more impactful in March, I'm probably gonna say Dalton Knecht.
And you normally don't see a lot of guys win, Player of the Year back-to-back years. And the way that Tennessee's been playing this year, I haven't really watched a lot of Tennessee, and And seeing them the first time they played Kentucky, walking in the Rupp and scoring 103. I know there's been a lot of games with Kentucky where it's been, Kentucky scored 100, they give up 90, 100.
Kentucky's like such a weird team.
They're an NBA team in the future because they've got so many. They don't play defense. Talent. They don't play any defense, but that's playing into into an NBA role right there.
As a fan of their rivals, which I'm not going to get into that, but I think that Antonio Reeves is not getting enough credit for that team.
Yeah.
Because he's not necessarily an NBA player. So people always talk about Reed Sheppard, Rob Dillingham, DJ Wagner, all of which really good players.
Mm-hmm.
But Antonio Reeves is averaging almost like 20 a game.
Yeah.
On really great shooting percentages.
Yeah.
And he's just the games I've seen him, he like barely misses.
Yeah, and just in those those two guys, Dalton Connect, averaging 20.7 points a game, 5 rebounds, and then like you mentioned,
he's
Antonio
averaging
Reeves,
like 24 in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean he's been balling in SEC play, and then Antonio Reeves 20 points a game overall, 4.2 rebounds, shooting right around 51% from the field. He's been good, the 6'6" guard. But again, we will pivot to the freshman and give it over to Brady, but Reed Sheppard, DJ Wagner. A guy that sticks out to me personally is Rob Dillingham, but of those three, who exactly sticks out to you as the freshman?
Yeah, definitely Rob Dillingham and Reed Sheppard more so than DJ Wagner. I personally I don't think DJ Wagner is a great player right now. I think he's solid, but he's nothing special. So I think he would benefit from staying another year. The other two, I think, should both leave though. I think Reed Sheppard, obviously, just great shooting percentages, plays hard defense, and then Rob Dillingham can just make plays. He was a top 5 recruit or something like that out of high school, so not too surprising there that he's really good. But both of those guys, 2 of the better freshmen in the country for sure. In a year where there's not really many freshmen that are great, it's a down year in terms of like freshman superstars in the country. There might not be a freshman in the country that's one of the top 15 players in the country this year, which usually
there's normally a good chunk of them.
There's
like a whole handful and a little bit after that.
But, there'd be like 5 plus. But but those guys are really good.
100%. And it's the guy that sticks off to me, like I mentioned, was Rob Dillingham. But I mean, Reed Sheppard's he had a game winner in one of those games. Was it Mississippi State? I think he had a game winner, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. And then I know
he dropped like 32 or something.
He had a fantastic game. And then Rob Dillingham, he had the game winner against LSU until LSU went down the court and got the tip and rebound to win the game. But DJ Wagner was one of the top 3 or so players coming into. Was he was number 1 for a minute?
He was
Did
number
he end
1
up number 1?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to remember even who it was.
Was it Collier?
I can't remember, but I know he was one.
Was it Ron Holland? It might have been Ron Holland.
I don't know, but he was 1 for a while, and obviously DJ Wagner hasn't been bad this year, but like Brady said, I mean he could definitely benefit from staying another year.
One thing about Wagner is he was hurt for a good stretch.
Yeah,
I think since coming back from that injury, like recently, he has been playing better. And he's projected like late first. So he's one of those guys where I'm like, you could come back, you could leave.
Yeah.
I think he would definitely benefit from coming back. I think Justin Edwards should come back. He's been playing better recently as well, but I think just need to see more consistency.
And
then Bradshaw is probably going to come back as well.
Yeah, and again, like obviously talking about the other 2 freshmen, and Sheppard and Dillingham, those guys are going to go to the draft and everything.
They're lottery picks,
and it would give and again it would give DJ Wagner a chance to be like, oh, I can be the guy, man. I can reach my full potential, and then like saying being a late first round pick, maybe he goes on ahead and just gets his stock up and becomes a lottery pick after playing a year in college, and that helps him out for the future. But excited to see that game between Kentucky and Tennessee. There's some really good games middle of the day tomorrow.
I think that Reed Sheppard is like probably more important for like winning for Kentucky. He just affects both sides of the ball so much. He's almost like a freshman Jamal Shead
in a way. Yeah.
Way
to look into the future.
But I think Rob Dillingham has the most NBA upside out of anyone on that team.
Yeah.
As like a microwave scorer.
and that's been Kentucky. They just get guys, obviously the one and done, and they just get guys that are NBA players. And it's like, just develop here for a year. Maybe we'll go to the Elite Eight. Maybe we'll get knocked out in the first weekend of the tournament. But ultimately, those guys do go to the NBA. Look at the guards they've produced over the last couple of years. So I mean, it's been pretty big with them. But
speaking of NBA, regarding that game,
go ahead.
Dalton Connect is a first rounder, potential lottery guy, depending on what teams are in the lottery, like who. Right fit and all that.
Yeah, there's a really not a really good chance he should be. So I mean,
I think he's earned it.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, he'll probably win SEC Player of the Year.
He can just score, at all levels.
It's a big thing for him. But and maybe we'll continue to talk of Tennessee right now. But actually, we're going to switch up the order a little bit, and we're going to look at the bubble watch at the moment.
All right.
Joe Lunardi, first 4 out, last 4 in, all this stuff. I'm going to read a list of teams. This was updated this morning, I believe, at 9:30 a.m. The last 4 buys as of today: Colorado State, TCU, Mississippi State, and Seton Hall's last 4 buys in the tournament at the moment. Last 4 in: Villanova, New Mexico, St. John's, and Virginia. His first 4 out: Providence, Colorado, Iowa, and Utah. And his next 4 out: Memphis, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Drake. Now, let's take a look at this last 4 in and first 4 out. Of the last 4 in: Villanova, New Mexico, St. John's, Virginia. Brady, which one does not belong there and do you think will fall out of the mix? It's a tough one. It is
is tough. I would probably say Villanova personally.
Okay.
They have their good games every once in a while. See, I would say Virginia because they're so bad on one side of the ball, but they're so consistent on the other side of the ball that you know what you're going to get. They're going to, I say this even though they got upset last year, they usually win their first round game at least. Also, you get the drill. They had one of the most historic upsets ever in the first round. But that's like
they've had a couple of upsets that are
they have, but like usually they make a Sweet 16 run or more in the tournament because of their defense.
Yeah.
And I think that they are more of a safe pick than Villanova. But I don't know enough about New Mexico to be honest. I just don't watch them enough.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a West Coast team, smaller conference, and all that. I know it's Mountain West, but in general, but
and then same with St. John's. I'd be lying if I said I've watched too much St. John's.
I will say St. John's when they beat Creighton, that was a bit of an eye opener. They've been playing better as of late, and I've heard a lot of raving about St. John's in that regard. But Michael, your opinion of these last 4 teams, which one do you think is going to kind of fall out of it?
I think if Virginia keeps playing like how they've been playing recently, they're going to fall out of it. Mm-hmm. If they have a bad loss, like I'm assuming they play tomorrow, most ACC teams, and in the first game of the ACC tournament, if they play bad in those games, I don't think they're going to be in the tournament just because they have some of the most trouble scoring I've seen out of any team.
Indeed.
I mean,
they've had trouble scoring for a minute. It feels like
if you put up 80 on them, they're not going to beat you.
No, they
cannot.
They're such a systematic team. That's it. They're such a systematic team.
I remember looking recently. I think maybe 4 of their last 5 or something like that.
Yeah,
they haven't reached 50.
They got to play their style of ball, and it's one of those things. Like, I don't want to bring up any teams from the HCAC, but I remember this was kind of a similar team. Rose Holman was kind of like that in the HCAC. But like, if you break their system or you speed up their system, Virginia seems like they're a lot of, we have to play on time. We have to play an ugly game of basketball. We have to play a very slow pace game. And if you get us out, they've
always been a slow pace.
I mean, they won a national championship. We'll give
the
them
difference between that year is their offense was actually able to score.
They could shoot from the outside.
They could actually play offense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what they had, they had Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, Mamadi Diakite, DeAndre Hunter. I mean, it's a big shot. But yeah, I mean,
Mamadi Diakite.
Yep. And then did K.E. Clark be on that team? I think he was.
Clark.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to pronounce it.
I don't even know.
It's been too long.
It really has though. But yeah, that was before COVID. That was a long time ago. But yeah, that that team obviously that was really good offense and everything else, but I mean, they just haven't been able to find that spark over that course of time. And, we'll definitely keep an eye on Virginia.
Yeah.
But, looking at the first 4 out and even the next 4 out. So you got Providence, Colorado, Iowa, and Utah are those 4. And then you got Memphis, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, and Drake being the next 4 out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of teams to comprehend in 8 teams in your mind right now. But of those 8 teams, who could potentially get hot and steal a bid in the tournament?
Like,
just make it. Just make it. We'll get into dark horses in a minute, but just make it.
I mean,
just getting a ticket to the dance is a big thing, but
if you want to think about winning their conference tournament, I think Drake could win their conference tournament.
Yeah.
Steal a bid, because I think Indiana State is making a pretty good case for an at-large bid if they don't win it.
Yeah. They've been really good this year.
They got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. That dude has been balling, man.
Dude, that dude is literally like shorter college Jokic.
Pretty much. I can't wait to I hope they get that large. Like, I can't wait to watch them. I can't wait to watch them.
I would love if Drake and Indiana State made the tournament. Was that Tucker DeVries or whatever his name is? He can hoop.
Real deal.
He's good.
Yeah, I mean that conference championship game is this Sunday actually at 2:00 on CBS. So Drake makes it. You get the whole nation watching them. But Brady, if you want to chime in on this one, so there's 2 ACC teams in there, Wake Forest and Pitt, who are on the next 4 out. What are your thoughts on them in general? Like, have you seen any of the games against North Carolina and stuff?
Yeah, so I watched Pitt play UNC twice, and then I watched the Wake Forest game as well. I think that Wake Forest could be a team that could definitely make the tournament. They fell off a little bit in the past few games, but when they're hot, I think they're a really good team. I think that they're definitely better than Pittsburgh. Hunter Salas is really good. Probably one of the best guards in the country. Honestly, he's averaging like 18 last time I checked, and then Efton Reed, ever since he joined the team, they got hot. I think he joined late December. He's a good he's a good player. He's good for defense and rebounds, and he's not bad on offense either. So I definitely think them, and I think Wake Forest can even make some noise if they made it, honestly.
Yeah, so I mean it's going to be interesting to see with that entire thing going on, but that bubble watch, I mean, a lot of those teams are just waiting, just wanting to play great basketball.
Can I throw a bone to one of those teams?
Go on ahead.
I just want to talk about St. John's a little bit.
Okay, go on ahead. I know you got the ties with Rick, but
if they let Rick in the tournament, I think he could do some damage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's and that's the thing with some of those coaches that have obviously made it, and just give. And I know Rick was there with was it Iona? Was he there with Iona in one of them? Yeah. So I mean,
I think he made it twice with Iona.
Yeah, I think
them one time.
And then they got UConn first round last year.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, it and the thing with that is, man, just giving him an opportunity with,
they're playing their best basketball right now.
Yep, exactly. Playing their best basketball at the best time. Giving him obviously a Big East team. If they slide in there at an 11 seed or a 10 seed, I mean,
do you want to know a fun fact?
Go on. Yeah, go on ahead. What do you got?
In the history of the Big East, only one team that has reached the 20-win mark has missed the tournament. And St. John's, I think if they win their next 2 games, will reach that mark.
Well, we will see history made or broken one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that. I'm gonna keep that in my mind.
Guess what team it was?
What team was it?
It was West Virginia when Beeline was there.
Wow.
It's been a while.
That's a long time ago. Man, I was about to say, I didn't know if it was when Huggy Bear was there, man, but Bob Huggins with UC West. The Bob Huggins Bowl's tomorrow, man. Cincinnati, West Virginia. That was a team and one more thing before we move on, but Cincinnati was a team that before they started going up and down and everything, that they were right in that last 4 in, first 4 out.
Yeah, they were in the mix for a little while.
I mean, I saw, called and saw a lot of Cincinnati basketball this year. They are such an odd team. They are a really odd team. Overall.
They have a dude named Jizzle.
And they do have a dude named Jizzle James, and that dude's really good. He's a really good player as a freshman and everything. But and
hopefully he doesn't enter the portal.
I hope not. I would rather prefer
some
other people to enter the portal.
That's a full conversation in and of itself.
Yeah, now that's a full conversation down in the city that I'll have with a couple of people. But man, hopefully Cincinnati can get hot, but we'll see what happens with that. But we'll move on. Going into title contenders and pretenders. I'm going to go down the AP poll list right now, and we're just going to keep it really brief and basic, and then we'll recap some thoughts overall. All right. And then I'll say the team's name. You guys will say, contender, pretender, and then we'll just keep going down the list. And then I'll kind of circle back, and then we'll be like, why is this team a contender? Why is this team a pretender? And you know what I'm saying? So we'll just kind of go down the list with that. Number one team in the country, Houston.
Contender.
Okay. And I think these are all
I'll just put it here.
Pretty
contender.
Okay. And then, these next couple ones. UConn.
Contender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Purdue, yeah.
Purdue.
Contender.
Okay. Tennessee.
Contender.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Contender.
Iowa State.
No.
Pretender.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. UNC.
Yeah.
Contender.
Marquette.
Yeah, I would say so.
They're
all right.
The bottom of
the contender.
They're interesting. They're
okay. Yep.
But
especially with Shaka's history, they are as a coach wise. They do need him. They need him bad.
Yeah,
they need him bad. But
they're screwed without him.
Now,
the thing is, they played UConn.
They did the second time.
Right?
Yeah,
they played him really good this second
good.
time. But
without they had Iguodaro back.
That's a big help. But they need Kolek really bad
if they want to go on a run. They need him.
Duke.
Contender.
Yeah.
Okay. Creighton.
Contender.
I think they could be like a 4 or 5 going around.
Baylor.
Pretender.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with that.
I got a couple more teams. Illinois.
Pretender.
Yeah, no.
Heavy pretender, I would say.
Think they're a huge pretender. But I do like Domask a lot. I mean, Terrence Shannon is obviously good, but Domask has really came on.
He also
we know.
Yeah.
We I think the whole country knows that.
He might have done something bad.
Hypothetically. Hypothetically.
In my opinion,
something bad.
There's a good chance he didn't, but
hypothetically, he might have done something. But
Deshaun Watson did too.
He did. He did.
Well,
How about
definitely did.
Auburn?
Yeah. I'm going pretender.
So based on my personal thoughts, I think they're a pretender, but I'm partly basing this off. I don't know how big you guys are into metrics, but
KenPom.
So KenPom's been around since 2002.
There we go.
And since 2002, every national title team has been in the top 25 in defensive efficiency and top 40 in offensive efficiency.
Yep.
All but 2 of them have been top 20 in both. And Auburn is top 20 in both. So they fit that.
We're looking feel, or are we looking numbers?
I'm probably
which way are you looking? Feel or numbers in this one?
I'm gonna go feel.
All right.
Because despite that, they're 1-7 in quad 1 games. And
you gotta win a lot of quad 1 games to win.
Yeah,
indeed you do.
You got to win a lot of big games.
Unless it's last year's tournament, but and of course. But yeah.
Thing is, even
I know last year, but there were a lot of teams that got randomly knocked off. But you get them.
Even it's not easy.
It's nowhere near easy.
Well, UConn made it look easy last year.
They did, but it's nowhere neir as easy. And look at
UConn steamrolled.
I mean, they were great.
Yeah,
but the fact that the teams they got to play was.
They did. They got lucky on that. I got a couple more teams though. Kansas.
I think they're a contender.
I don't know. So this is another team where I personally think they're a pretender because of their depth.
Okay.
But they barely squeak into that metrics. They're 10th in defense and then 38.
Okay.
In offense.
Keep an eye on that. There's still a little bit more room.
The thing is, if they're barely at the edge, I don't know how much I believe in them, considering a few days ago Michigan State was in that mark.
That's true.
And then they fell off.
It's just the way you weigh things, man. You don't know. And then the last 2, Kentucky.
I'm going Pretender. I think they're too.
I would say Pretender as well, in my opinion. But
yeah,
they could make the second weekend, but I don't think
here's my thing with Kentucky. I could see them losing in the first round by like 15 points, and then I could see them just winning the whole thing and just steamrolling teams because they just can't be stopped.
I think their cap is Elite Eight, but not cap. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Them making the Final Four is just like, who knows? I mean,
yeah.
The last time they made the Final Four, what was 2014-15, lost to Wisconsin,
yeah.
38-0 team that they had. I mean, it could happen, but
speaking of Wisconsin, they completely fell off.
They fell off the map, man. That was crazy. And I got one more team, by the way.
Okay.
Number 1 overall seed from last year, Alabama. They're an interesting team, but you say no.
I think, I don't know. I've seen more like defensive like promise from Kentucky.
Okay.
They've shown signs that they can defend. Alabama cannot defend.
And Kentucky can score 117 on them.
Alabama can also score a lot.
Those are
two of the most craziest offenses in the country.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Brady, what are you thinking on this?
I don't think Bama has what it takes
for Bama.
Contender. I just have a feeling. I just have a weird feeling about this. I know they're not good on defense, but I feel like they're a type of team that could get hot in the tournament.
I guess when we're saying contender, I'm viewing it as win a national title.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of these teams that I've called pretenders, I feel like they could make a Final Four.
Yeah.
And they just might lose steam.
Yeah.
Because winning 6 games is hard.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Having to go through all those weekends and everything else. That's a long road and everything. So
like a team like Alabama, I could see making a Final Four because of their offense. I could see Iowa State making a Final Four because of their defense.
Yeah.
I just don't see either of those teams winning a national title.
Now we're going to pivot a little bit, all right, but we're going to keep it in the same boat. So we're looking at title contenders. Let's look at the top 4 teams in the AP poll. Houston, UConn, Purdue, Tennessee. Who's the best team right now?
UConn. I think it's UConn.
Why would you say?
They lost like their 3 leading scorers and they're better. Tristan Newton.
Youth prevails. 1 year.
Tristan Newton's an All-American.
1 year, man. That's all you need. And he's been balling this year.
Stephon Castle is a lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Clingan's going to be a lottery pick too.
Yep.
Anchoring down low.
Mm-hmm. He'll play a Walker Kessler role in some offense in the end.
Connect was obviously the biggest portal addition, but what's his name? Spencer.
I'm blanking on it.
Oh my gosh!
Cam
Spencer. Yes.
Okay.
Screw that guy. Least favorite player in the country.
Okay, thanks for noting that out.
All right. Well, despite that, he can shoot the rock.
He can.
And he's been great for them.
Yeah.
And then also, I've seen UConn play in person, even when like their bench guys come in, they don't really miss a beat. That offense is humming.
Yep.
They can defend well. They're in the top 20 in both, like all the other teams.
There you go. Yep. Matching up. Now
this is the best chance, in my opinion, for someone to go back to back since Florida.
Well, history's made to be broken, so UConn's got a shot. What are your Brady though?
I'm gonna agree with UConn. I don't think it's a big gap. Again, there's no team that has a huge advantage over probably the top my personal top 6 teams would all be fairly close to each other, but I would say UConn is my number 1 because of the fact that they've probably they probably have arguably the best resume. It's close. There's teams that can argue that because there's a lot of good teams, but I think they have really good guards, and they also have Donovan Clingan, obviously defending down low, is a huge piece for them, and he replaced what was that guy's name? Sanogo.
Sanogo.
Adama Sanogo. He's doing a good job replacing him. Mm-hmm. And just everybody, they're just really good. But it's not like a big gap at all.
Yeah. And for me, I would again, UConn has been fantastic this year. And for
You're
a
gonna
while,
say Houston, aren't you?
For a while,
I
I've been, UConn, and maybe right now they are.
Houston
Houston, I'm telling you, dude, there is something different about.
They would be my number 2.
Like when you're in the presence of watching Houston play, and
they're so good.
Their defensive tenacity, what Kelvin Sampson expects from them, Jamal Shed, LJ Cryer, obviously everybody talks about a March guard play prevailing and everything else. Dude, they've got literally everything that you could ask for from 2 guards, and the balance of a scorer and a guy that just knows how to win and play defense and everything else. And
I'm trying to think of a better backcourt.
They're not even exactly. They're not even like a huge team. It's just they got guys.
Should you just say Paxton?
What the heck? But the thing is they got they
didn't even start on senior night.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
They didn't want to. You don't start the guy that's already a beast. Like he's not going to feel any gratitude from starting. But if you start those walk-ons, obviously you start them, they get their chance. Patrick Watchkick started many games at Brown.
Oh Lord. But yeah,
I think, don't call him a beast though.
But I think overall, when looking at Houston, these guys are out here to prove something this year. And
they have not missed a beat since joining the Big 12.
They haven't. They look, and the thing is, I know we're losing Texas and Oklahoma. I know Texas and Oklahoma, it's more of a football conversation of we're losing them in the Big 12 and everything. But the thing is, man,
Big 12 basketball is going to be fine.
Oh, they're going to be completely fine. But you're looking at a new rivalry now, Houston, Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's going to be
Arizona's going to be in the mix.
Arizona's going to be in the mix too, and we haven't even talked about them. Caleb Love playing well. Well, we can talk about them in a second, but I mean, just overall though, like the tenacity they play with, when they need to get a bucket, they can get a bucket. They're bigs. There's no one like a Zach Edey or Donovan Clingan down there, but they're 6'8", 6'9" guys like Roberts down low. They can play bigger than what they are.
Houston's the toughest team in the country.
And that, I don't talk about grit and everything, but those guys in general, they get a good path. They start beating up teams, especially, playing 2 teams in a weekend and everything. That I got a feeling this team's going to find themselves in Phoenix, and I think they have a good shot at winning this natty. So
they're going to win it at some point. Kelvin Sampson's going to win one there.
I think, and for me, I personally think Jamal Shed is. I think he's ready. I think they are ready.
This is.
I mean, look at their run the last couple of years, though. I mean, I know they haven't won one, but let's take it back to 2017-18. They lose to Jordan Poole in Michigan off a game-winning 3-pointer and everything else. 2018, they go to the Sweet 16. They lose to Kentucky, and it was a really tight game in that. I think Tyler Harrow had a crazy stretch down at the end of that one. And then 2019, 2020, COVID happened. 2020, I was at their Elite 8 game when they played Oregon State, made the Final Four. Baylor handled them and everything.
That was when Grimes and Sasser were there.
Yeah, that was great duo there. But and then
Grimes left after that, right?
He did leave after that. And then 2021, were they a 1 that year? They lost in the Sweet 16.
2021,
2022, because I know Villanova made it out of their bracket. Houston was a 5.
They were a 5.
They were 5. They beat Illinois.
They upset Arizona.
That's right.
And made the Elite 8 and lost to Villanova.
That's right, because they beat Illinois in the second round.
And then the next year,
they beat
Arizona.
Got upset and then they got upset in the Sweet 16. So, I mean, they've been around it, though.
Yeah.
They have been to the second weekend a lot.
Yep.
And I think it's around that time where they just break through. Maybe they're not the best overall, and maybe I'm talking a little differently in regards of who's the best team and who I think is going to win the national championship, have the best chance of winning the national championship. Yeah. I'm sticking with Houston, and I'm looking to the future right now. And obviously March it flies pretty quick, but I'm just excited to see those teams go at it and everything. But
I think, I mean, I'm not going to narrow it down too much. For me,
we'll have time to do that over the course of the month.
I think for me, 7 teams, I think could win it, the whole thing.
Give me your 7.
So obviously the 2 we just mentioned, Purdue, Tennessee, UNC Duke, and then Arizona.
All right.
So is that 7?
7.
Yep.
Keep that in mind. All right, cool. So now we're going to move on to some dark horse and Cinderella candidates coming up. All right. Now, so one team that has really shocked a lot of people this season. I'm just going to ask you just for this one team, and then you guys can give me your Cinderellas and everything else. What are your thoughts on South Carolina?
Ooh, that's tough.
Michi Johnson taking over down there.
I think they've had a really good year, especially considering the year they had last year.
Yeah.
Are
they one of those? Are they one of those teams that's going to probably end up being overseeded?
I think they're going to be around a 5 to 7, which is probably about right.
Okay.
They're just a team where I could see them being upset early.
Yep.
I could also see them going on a little run, maybe like Sweet 16, Elite 8. I don't think they're going to make a Final Four.
Well, I remember,
which is hard to do.
That is, I keep forgetting they did make that Final Four.
They did.
That it was a 2016,
Darius Thornwell.
Yep. Yeah, and that was the year North Carolina.
That dude was a beast.
To beat Gonzaga, and that was in Arizona. Last time the Final Four was in Arizona. South Carolina made it. It's here in Arizona, but we'll obviously see what goes on with that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like a seesaw where it's like, maybe they're up, maybe they're not. There's a lot of room that could happen with a team like South Carolina in general. But it's interesting. Brady, overall, what are you thinking though? Are you like, could they make a run? Are they gonna get knocked out in the first round? Like, what do you think of South Carolina?
I think they could make a run, honestly. They've just been so like they're well coached. I think Lamont Paris is a good coach. I think he's a guy, Ohio State job, could be watching out for from Ohio roots, and Michi Johnson might transfer back to Ohio State. But no, they could do some good things. Like Michi Johnson, man, he's been good. It's been interesting. I didn't think he'd be this good.
Is that who you want Ohio State to get?
Probably either
a long list
him or
of
Dusty
people.
May. There's a lot of options.
There are a lot. There are a lot of
Dusty May is the most likely.
Yeah, which would be huge.
I'm that would be an awesome pickup for Ohio State.
I'm just hoping I'm not gonna lie. I hope we don't get Sean Miller. That was one of the.
Talk about Xavier right now, man. So Xavier's in shambles at the moment, but
so if we're on the subject of coaching searches,
let's keep it quick. But yeah. Oh, I know.
There's a possibility
I know
that Scott Drew could go to Louisville.
Drewville.
Right. I didn't think it was a possibility, but there's like Drew Diener from ESPN Louisville talked to some people, and he's the number one guy that they're going after apparently through back channels because Kenny Payne still is the coach. And but
interesting.
And apparently there is some interest now. They're like apparently like. They're like, we can't wait forever to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But apparently they have another guy lined up that they think would accept the job. So, but I'm hoping it's Drewville. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, you got March, and we'll see if Baylor gets knocked out early, if they make a run. I completely understand that part of it. But let's look at, some actual dark horses and Cinderella teams. Brady, if there's one or two teams in your mind that just spark, we're like, they could make a run. Like, who would you think? In general?
Wake Forest. I'm going back to them.
Okay, back to the ACC.
I think they're really good. I think if they were in line for a decent seed before the last few weeks when they just fell off. I feel like it's a fluke though. Like them falling off right now, I feel like they could get back to where they were at. They could win the ACC championship if they got hot. Like they're the third team I could see winning it. I just think if they make the tournament, they could go on a run because, like people have mentioned, guard play is the most important thing in March Madness. It always has been.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. It's just the shot making down the stretch of the games, and that's easier to do as a guard. Is just so important. And Hunter Salas makes tough shots all the time. He kind of plays like Johnny Juzang, but more of like a guard version in terms of like he'll take he's not like wide open a lot. Like he's not like it doesn't seem like he's a guy that's like easily wide open, but he makes tough shots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think their combination. They have some other shooters too.
That's what happens in March, man. You got to make tough shots down the stretch. I know of the former Tar Heel and Caleb Love was able to make some very tough shots to go to a national championship, but
he did.
And that's what you need sometimes. You got to have a guy that can get a bucket when you need it and everything. And he's one of those guys that could do that. But Michael, a team or two that can make a run going just late in the March?
So I'm going to go over more like dark horses, not like Cinderella teams.
Okay, dark horses, cool.
But So other than Wake Forest, I think Wake Forest does have a shot. But I mentioned St. John's earlier, their team that I think could do it. This team's going to be more like a 6. I could see Florida making the Sweet 16 run.
Okay.
I think their offense is maybe not Alabama, Kentucky good, but it's really good. And I think they're more balanced on the defensive end than those two teams.
Yep.
So they're an option. And then I'm going to give a little 2-team shout out to the Mountain West.
All right.
First one, less surprising because they've done it before. San Diego State. I think their defense is really good again. They have a lot of the same players from last year. I think they could replicate it. Now they could also, it's March. They could also lose in the first round.
Yep.
And then another team I think could maybe upset like a 1 or a 2 seed, make Sweet 16. It's Nevada. Nevada's playing really good. You've seen one of their players play, Gerard Lucas, when he was at Oregon State.
Yeah.
He had it was like a half-court shot to beat Colorado State on the road a few weeks ago.
That's insane.
But I don't know. I like Nevada. I think they could pull off something.
All right. So looking at Nevada,
and then I have a whole load of Cinderellas that could.
Give me one Cinderella.
One. Oh, that's tough.
Well, it doesn't have to be the best. Well, I know you want to try to pick your favorite one or something like that, but just give me one. All right, we got a little bit of time to talk about stuff, but like, give me one Cinderella.
All right, to start out, I'll go with South Florida
in the top 25 now.
Yeah.
They won the AAC regular.
Yep, the American
champions. Yeah.
I think maybe the first time ever.
I believe it is. Shout out to Josh Apple, USF alum. Yep.
Go ahead. I believe their coach's name is Amir Abdur-Rahim. I think
that's a name.
It's a mouthful. But he was at Kennesaw State last year when they got him to the tournament.
Played against Xavier, and they played him down the wire too.
Yeah,
they played him.
So he took the South Florida job, and he brought over 3 of his players from Kennesaw State, and they kind of helped establish that culture. Had a rough start to non-conference play, but they've won all but 1 game in the American. So they're humming right now.
They've been balling, and I don't want to say this. I mean, this isn't a Cinderella team or anything like that, but this is a dark horse team that's going to be around that 8 or 9 line, and they've been kind of up and down here and there. I don't want to be Big 12 biased, but with the depth, not really the depth, but just the experience that Texas has.
Okay.
Texas.
I was going to try to guess.
Who are you going to guess?
I was going to guess BYU.
BYU is also a good one.
Because
ranked and everything.
I think I like BYU because of their shooting.
Yes, and if they get hot, then obviously they can make that run. But I don't know. I think Texas. It's weird because they can, when they played Baylor this past week, I know Baylor ended up winning that game. But when you saw Texas got on a run offensively to start that game out, the thing that scares me obviously is then blowing a lead or something like that. But Max Asmus, Tyrese Hunter, Dylan Sue, those guys, that 3 in general, they obviously got a bunch of other role players as well. But if they're able to catch somebody at the right time and maybe get a 1 seed that's kind of slipping up in that regard, I don't know.
I'm going to be honest. This isn't a diss on Rodney Terry at all. I think if Chris Beard is the coach, they're a 3 seed.
Could be.
Or around there.
Yeah.
They've
underperformed this year. Of course, they've underperformed this year for sure. But I don't know. I think Max Asmus is going to know it's March. It's time to start balling. We got to get going.
He's been there before.
He's been there before. He's done that before.
He's hit a couple buzzer beaters.
100%. Yes, he has. And we've both seen them. So maybe he's got another 1 or 2 in him if they get to March. So I mean, once they get in the madness. So that
could happen.
It definitely can. Anything can happen in March.
You
but
know what he's famous for too.
We know. But
what is that?
We don't even.
When Ohio State was a 2 seed, they were a 15 seed and they won.
Oh my God, I didn't know
Max
that.
Asmus dropped like 30 points.
That is crazy.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
Did you know they also beat Florida after that? What was it, Florida? I didn't
Yeah.
They did also win their second round game.
And they almost beat Arkansas. Did you know that?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay.
And then St. Peter's did go to the Elite Eight.
Speaking of Arkansas, they're not having a good year.
Yeah,
Right now.
they're not having a good.
They have had
They
some
got a lot of
off-court issues.
they got a lot of stuff going on, and oh man, yeah.
Whether those rumors are true,
rumors are true, whether they're not, that's again hypothetical. With the
we're not going to talk about that until we get facts.
actual factual evidence. With that, we will not release any
I personally
of the
think
stuff.
it's true.
I feel like Brady hopes
you hear
it's
that.
true.
You hear that, Trayvon Brazil. Brady thinks it's true.
I know what you do.
Oh,
I think
Lord.
it's true. Go look it up if you guys don't know what we're talking about. Trayvon Brazil.
Yeah, that's all we're gonna say. Just look it up. When
All right, we should stop talking about.
You
Arkansas
probably
now.
should, but that entertaining the idea of it is one thing. But before we get out of here, just players to watch in the month of March. Just give me a player, 2 players. Just
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously Dalton Connect.
That's major one.
And then I'm gonna try to think of some players we haven't really touched on. That's tough.
Pass it off to Brady real quick.
Yeah,
if
I'll
he's
pass
got
it
a
off to
player,
Brady.
and then you can think about one. We'll go around the horn.
Baylor Shireman from Creighton. I feel like he's one.
That's not a terrible one, actually.
Yeah.
RJ Davis. I know we talked about him. I gotta say it.
You were probably gonna say this one eventually, but obviously Caleb Love.
I guess I might have said it. I was just going off the top of my head.
I mean, he's obviously pulled off a crazy March performance before. He could do it again. I mean,
Indeed.
There's 2 players that I think could replicate a Kemba Walker type season. Dalton Connect's one because I think if Tennessee's going to win the title, he might have to.
Yeah.
And then Caleb Love because he's been crazy and he's been there before.
This guy can do it too.
Yeah, I mean he could.
Yeah, he definitely could.
But
he also had some big performances in that tournament, like Baylor.
I'm not saying he can't. I think
Love did do it though already. So
I think RJ Davis is he plays within the offense a lot more than Caleb Love does. Caleb Love just does crazy crap sometimes.
And it worked a couple weeks.
It worked
a
one
bit.
year and it didn't work the
last year. Didn't work last year.
And
so.
there may be some reasons for that.
And that's why he's out west. But hey, they're balling. Arizona's
There's
balling.
a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we're not going to get into with these teams.
There's a lot of stuff that we're just not going to get into because of just hypothetical. But
we wish Caleb Love well. I'm happy he's doing good in Arizona. Hopefully.
I think you wish Caleb. Do you really wish Caleb well?
Oh yeah.
Do you?
Definitely. I've always been a Caleb fan in terms of
I'm just kidding.
I've always liked Caleb. Obviously I was frustrated with him last year, but never obviously he had one of the biggest moments in UNC history.
He's had a couple of those
yeah, so he's definitely probably the transfer that we've lost that I've wished the most well. Probably ever.
I will say we haven't really mentioned him yet, but if Alabama were to go on a run, Mark Sears is a guy to look out for.
That's a big one. Yeah. 21 a game. He's been hooping.
Yeah.
He's been straight hooping this year, taking over the team. So, keep an eye on him.
And then for a small school player to look out for, this team might not even make the tournament. They're in the semifinals right now of the what are they? The quarter or semis of the CAA.
Okay.
For UNC Wilmington, Trezarian White.
Okay.
Just if they make the tournament, just remember that name.
Trezarian White.
He might have dropped close to a 30 ball in Kentucky on when they beat them on the road earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just remember the name.
We'll make that a short if they make the tournament. And 2 guys for me. The one smaller school, they're ranked right now. I'm excited to see Deron Holmes for Dayton. I'm excited to see them. I know that right at the moment they're losing to VCU right now, but I'm excited to see what Dayton has because obviously Dayton back 2 years back they didn't get their chance to be a 1 seed in the tournament. They're not going to be a 1 seed this year, but they get a chance to go back to the tournament.
I hope they go on a run.
20. I mean, he's having 29. He's balling this year.
I hope they go on a run, but I could see them.
They can get
losing first round.
They definitely could, and
Do you think another A10 team's going to win the tournament and then get in? steal a bid.
It could happen. It really could, and it could.
Richmond won the regular season.
Yeah. It really could happen. That A-10 is up for grabs in general. I know Dayton is ranked, but like, you see it this year. Win it. I mean, VCU's got Dayton's
we could
number,
have Sister
apparently.
Jean back.
We could. I would definitely love to see that, but again, and then the other guy, it's obviously well known. Like I'm Jamal Shed addict. So,
yeah, I mean, I could have said him earlier, but we've been talking about him a lot.
We have, but I want to see them and watch them go on to lose to the 16th. I'm just kidding, but still, I mean, I'm excited to see what they got. I'm excited to see what Jamal Shed's got, and I know I'm Cincinnati fan, Ohio State fan, and all that stuff, but appreciating the Big 12 basketball. Big 12 basketball has been tough this year. It's been the best conference, I'd say, over the last couple of years, and it's been a tough one. And those Big 12 teams, those ACC teams, seem to prevail over time. Big 10 teams do not. They don't. So, it should be a really exciting March.
Things with March, you never know.
You never
know.
In March. You never know, and it just takes one team to make a difference. But before we get on out of here, again, Michael, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's been fun. But anything you want to add before you
go? I can't wait till this Tuesday's over.
Indeed.
So that
Indeed,
Louisville can put me out of my misery. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Stick a dagger in yourself and get ready.
It's been rough.
Get ready for Drewville, maybe.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
It's been a rough 2 years.
We'll see.
3 years.
We'll see. I know it. I know it's been rough, but hey, maybe Louisville will be back here soon.
Yeah,
Brady, you got anything else?
Yeah, I'll be in DC on Wednesday to witness Louisville stealing a bid in the ACC tournament.
I gotta add something.
I'll be at the ACC tournament from Wednesday all the way till the championship. Not going Tuesday because I don't know if I want to go up there a whole day just to watch the worst teams in the conference.
That should be fun though for Brady.
Thing is, I don't know if I should want them to win the whole thing so that we can play in March, or if I should just want them to lose. Thing is,
that'd be sick.
If we win the ACC tournament, I might have to go through year 3 of Kenny Payne.
That'd be bad.
Are you willing to, if Louisville wins the ACC tournament, are you willing to do anything outrageous?
No. I'm not.
Not even if Louisville wins the ACC, you dye your hair blonde. Nothing crazy like that.
No.
You'd eat 10 Skyline Conies in 10 minutes.
If Kenny Payne isn't fired going into the next season, I might burn all of my Louisville shirts and
we'll clip it. Even though he will be fired, but we'll clip it though, just in case.
He's gonna become a Virginia Tech fan. He respects them more.
And on that note, we're gonna end the show. But
might go to like St. John's.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, me and Michael did have that St. John's.
Virginia Tech
he forgives him.
Me and Michael were St. John's like addicts for a second with Shamori Pons. That was a fun time.
We should get a Shamori Pons jersey.
You know what? Might as well. And if St. John's makes that,
you should get Shamori Pons on the pod.
Man, that would be dope. Shamori Pons, if you see this, come on the podcast. We're big fans of you.
I would come back for Shamori Pons.
And we're very we really want to have you on the show.
I'm a big Shamori Pons fan too. So if you actually are seeing this,
we will keep our St. John's lower line fandom, at minimum until they hopefully make a postseason run. But with that being said,
Simeon Wilcher is there.
Yes, he is.
He's at St. John's.
With that being said, Michael Severt, Brady King, Chase Johnson. We'll see you guys next time.